Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a piece of English grammar that sounds a little complicated but is actually super useful, the present perfect continuous. Just stick with me for a few minutes and I promise you'll get the hang of it in no time.
So, have you ever been stuck here, wondering what's the real difference between I have read the book and I have been reading the book? They look so similar, right? But they tell completely different stories. And figuring out that difference, well, that's exactly what we're here to do.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the why. Then, we'll build the simple formula. After that, we'll dive into the two key ways to use it, compare it with its cousin, the simple tense, and wrap it all up with one main takeaway. Sound good? Let's jump in. All right, Section 1, what's been happening? Before we even get into how to use this tense, we really need to understand why it exists. What's its actual job in a sentence?
Think of this tense as a bridge. It creates a connection between something that started in the past and what's happening now, in the present. But here's the key. Its main job is to shine a spotlight on the duration. It's all about the journey, the process, not just the end result.
Okay, so we've got the why down. Now for the how. Building this tense is actually a lot like following a super simple recipe. Once you know the ingredients, you really can't mess it up.
So here's the official idea. We use this tense to talk about something that kicked off in the past but is still connected to right now. It's perfect for talking about stuff that's still going on or something that's been taking up a lot of our time lately. And the recipe is so easy, just 4 parts. First, you grab your subject, like I, you, or she. Then you add either have or has. Next comes the magic word that's always there, been. And you just finish it off by taking your main verb and adding ing to the end. That's the whole formula. Let's see it in the wild. She has been studying for 3 hours. See how that works? The emphasis here isn't just that she studied, it's on how long she's been doing it. For 3 whole hours. The process, the duration, that's what's important here.
Okay, now for the part you've probably been waiting for. We know why it exists and we know how to build it, but when do you actually use it? Well, it really boils down to 2 main scenarios. These are the 2 big ones. First, you use it for an action that began in the past and, you guessed it, is still going on right now. And second, you use it for an action that just finished, but you can clearly see the results or evidence of it in the present. Let's look at an example of each.
This is a perfect example for our first use case. So when did they start living in London? Back in 2020, in the past. Are they still living there now? Yep, so the action is still very much in progress.
The whole point here is that it's an unfinished story. The action isn't complete. We're focusing on that whole stretch of time, all the way from 2020 right up until this very moment.
And now for use case number 2. Just picture this. You walk into a room and your friend is totally covered in paint. So you ask, what happened? And they say, I've been painting. Now the actual painting might have stopped just a few seconds ago, but the evidence, the result, is all over them.
So, in this situation, the focus shifts. It's all about the present result. It's the messy clothes, the smell of fresh paint in the air, or maybe feeling out of breath because you've been running. The recent activity is the reason for the current situation.
All right, let's sharpen those skills a bit. This is where you go from just knowing the rule to really mastering it. We're going to look at exactly when to pick the continuous form over its close cousin, the present perfect simple. It's all in the details. This chart makes it super clear. Look on the left. If I say, I have been reading that book, my focus is on the activity of reading. I'm probably still in the middle of it. But if I say, I have read that book, over on the right, well, that means I'm done. It's complete. The focus is the result. It's the difference between talking about the effort, she has been writing all day, and talking about the accomplishment, she has written 3 chapters. It really just comes down to duration versus completion. Okay, a quick but really important tip for you. There's a certain group of verbs called state of verbs. They describe states or feelings, not actions. Think of words like know, love, or own. You can't really be doing them. It just sounds weird, right? That's why we never say, I have been knowing her for 5 years. Instead, you just stick to the simple form, I have known her for 5 years. Knowing is a state, not a process.
We have covered a lot of ground. So let's boil everything down to one simple, powerful idea you can take with you. If you only remember one thing from all this, make it this next part.
Here it is, your new motto. When you're trying to decide which tense to use, just ask yourself,
Am I talking about the journey or the destination? If you want to focus on how long something has been happening, the process, the ongoing effort, that's the journey. Think duration. But if you want to focus on the result, the finished product, the final spore, that's the destination. This one little phrase is going to guide you to the right choice almost every single time.
So let's put it to use right now. I'm curious, what is something new that you have been learning recently? Maybe you've been practicing guitar, or maybe you've been working on a new language. Whatever your journey is, you now have the perfect piece of grammar to talk about it. Thanks for tuning in.